This week on the podcast, it's just us boys. Mendacii reviews the newest survival horror title, Scorn. What was announced at Konami and Capcom event, and stick around for the end because we have some Halloween deals and suggestions for you to pick up. All of that and more in this week's episode of the podcast. Roll the intro.
R.I.P. the Scats.
RIP the Scats. We
Pour one
made the
out.
intro a lot shorter. Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a podcast for gamers on a budget. I am your host, Danny K. With me, as always, the wonderful, the beautiful, the Mr. Green Elite. Green, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually having a pretty interesting week. I got my hair cut yesterday. I walked into the barber shop. There was no one in there. I thought I was interrupting a lunch. And they're like, nah, let's get your hair cut. And yeah, it was a great experience. And then I got sunglasses in the mail today. So I'm doing good. I'm feeling like I'm on the up and up today.
Hell yeah.
Nothing can hold me down. I am a force of nature. I am Kaiba willing myself into existence, as we were just talking about before the show. I am here. I am strong. Fear me, for I am powerful.
Yeah, I had to explain the very interesting what's the plot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions before the show. We're also joined by the Spooky and the Ookly, the Mendacii. Mendacii, how are you doing today?
Not too shabby, man. It's just been a wonderful, horrific week. I too got a haircut by myself. I shaved my head like a monkey, ready to shoot into space. You know, space monkey ready to sacrifice himself for the greater good without pain, without sacrifice. We would have nothing.
I forgot that you can't go to Dean's anymore. Oh man, that hurts my
Nope.
soul.
Yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
usually go to
candies.
a hairstylist to get the fresh look. But you know what's cheaper? Just buzzing your fucking hair off.
I don't do that anymore. I used to. I used to when I got too long, but no, that's one of the things that like shook me here was like I used to pay $20. That was like haircut plus tip $20, right? I go in there and I get my haircut, and like at the end he's like, "That'll be $31." I'm like, "Oof."
Oof.
Oof.
Woof.
That's without the tip. So I went to the ATM because they only took you could only tip if you're using cash or Zelle, and I don't have Zelle, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll go use this ATM that has a $3 fucking ATM fee, pull out $40, and then give this man $40 because he was actually really nice. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
And I mean, like, you gotta aid them in not having to claim their tips. You know, like that's 100% what that is, because taxation is theft.
taxation is theft.
Oh, wow. It's really odd when the most left leaning member of the podcast starts spouting libertarian you know, or
It's my money and I want it now, Danny.
Next thing you
It's
know,
why
he's
I'm
gonna
on
be
this
like,
podcast.
next thing you know, he's gonna start talking about how we need to reduce the size of the government and governmental oversight. You know, like it's gonna be a whole thing. We're converting him.
The best size
Anyways.
of the government is no government. I'm just gonna leave it there. And let's continue with the show.
Thanks.
Anarchy.
So thanks for watching and listening to the show. Be sure to stick around at the end to hear about some awesome deals you guys can pick up that we found for you this week. This week we are making some changes. Sorry, one of my cats is being a pain in my ass right now.
Fight him.
Oh,
she's
bite
she's
him.
really preoccupied with the trash. Anyways, so we are making some changes, cutting some fat this week. If you guys like the changes, don't like the changes, let us know in the live chat or in the comments, or tweet at us, of course. If you missed any part of the show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. And if you want to join us live, you can do that on Twitch every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Mendacii.
Yo, I'm here to talk to you about Scorn, which, if you've been keeping your nose to the ground as far as video game news goes, you've probably heard a thing or two. So at the time of this review, I've got just over 3 hours of gameplay in Scorn. I would have loved to get to the end of it, being that it's only a 5.5 hour game, but my schedule just really didn't allow it. Scorn is also a $40 game. So if that is an immediate turnoff for you, I understand. But something to keep in mind is that Scorn is very different. It has a presentation of a game that took many painstakingly long hours to detail and write. It is hard to look at in the best way. By now, you've already seen some gameplay, or perhaps you're seeing the gameplay for the first time here on Next to Nothing, but it's obviously inspired by H.R. Geiger, some Beksinski, and likely many other artists that have tried to detail many versions of Hell or Hellscapes. The best part about Scorn are its visuals and audio design. It's a nightmare trip through an alien hellscape, and you traverse this hellscape as a beaten and battered reject that has no name or mission or wild heroic backstory. The only thing the game instills in you immediately is a desire to leave. Find a way to get out of wherever the hell you are and maybe find freedom on the other side. Of course, you immediately start doing this by doing puzzles. Some folks were quite upset that the game was marketed as an FPS game instead of what it actually is. Keep in mind also that if you go to Steam and you look at its tags, first person shooter is not there, but first person is, as well as puzzle game. But all the video that we had seen leading up to its release made it look like it was more of a survival horror first person shooter. So it is through and through a puzzle game, but you do shoot a couple guns and you do have to dispatch some really gross, fleshy monsters that kind of look like distended buttholes with like mouths that barf things at you and some creepy legs. But from start to finish, likely the finish anyway, it's a puzzle game. The puzzles themselves are a mix between fun head scratchers and uninspired remixes of puzzles we're all familiar with, moving a tram track around to get a cart going the right way, sliding objects around on a grid in order to get one piece to a goal. The puzzles that are fun, however, really do shine. And the macabre twist on their design makes even the tired puzzles shine at least a little bit. Now, as far as the FPS elements go, they aren't good. They're quite terrible, to be honest. Your HUD is entirely invisible unless you are aiming. The first weapon you receive is like kind of like a jackhammer that hammers twice every 6 seconds or so. I'm not entirely certain of that timing, as it only gives you a vague, semi translucent charge bar that's only visible when you're aiming. And your movement speed while aiming is reduced by what feels like a very sluggish 60% or more. The slower enemy is mostly annoying, and it just feels like you have to game the game to get away from attacks long enough to hit it 4 times, unless you're lucky enough to nail it in the mouth on the third hit. The other enemy is much worse. The best way to attack them is to rush them down, since their projectiles home in on you enough to be annoying and pretty much assure you to be hit at least once when you encounter them. Now, there is another weapon you get later on, perhaps another one as well later in the game that I just hadn't gotten to yet. But the weapon is a revolver, which fills you with a sense of relief when you grab it. So you're like, finally, something that's actually like a gun. Odd move, you have to use a machine to grab some bullets, which are put in this weird, like lotus root looking object that also holds like your health potion like items. When you nab the gun, it does not come with any ammunition, so you actually have to use the bullets that you get from that machine to then load it, and they're like little BBs. So like all the bullets you just picked up then go into your like new weird flesh and bone revolver. This is a process that takes about 8 seconds to load from empty to full. The reticle is terrible, and the bloom as soon as you move goes so wide that you would need a miracle to hit your target if it's like anywhere between you and 5 feet away. It's pretty ridiculous. Towards the end of my time with Scorn, I got stuck in a loading loop because of my own, I'll be honest, skill issue. I had one hit of health left, I had no heals, and this terrible gun and the half baked combat mechanics, facing multiple enemies that each require around 3 shots each to kill. Every time I died, I had to start back after like a loading screen, start up an elevator, which would then like go up 2 levels to where you are, and then go back down 2 levels, both of which are blocked. It would rest at each level as it went down, and then the same thing as it went back up. So by the time you get there, you don't have enough time to actually like cross over to the other side. So you get in the elevator and you have to go down 2 levels, waiting on each level, go back up, and then get off. And then it shows you a little cutscene. And then you have to go and pick up your revolver and you have to grab the bullets and then you have to reload the revolver. And then after you leave that room, it spawns in like 3 enemies, 2 of which shoot the homing projectiles, one of which just does like a kind of close proximity barf attack. Um, yeah, with 1 hit of health and homing enemies, like man, I went through it like 4 times before my interest just completely waned. I'll be going back and getting salty enough to succeed for sure, but only when I've got the time to be able to devote to knowing I'll just get mad and going through multiple loadings of it. All in all, Scorn is interesting and it's a unique experience. It's a welcome break from the games that have been coming out lately. It may not be the best puzzle game, and it may have some really terrible FPS like gameplay. Just kind of feels like tacked on top. But with some polish from patches, I think this game has a lot of promise in becoming a cult hit. If you want to pick it up or you're interested in grabbing it on sale, these are the minimum specs. You need a 64-bit processor and operating system. Requires Windows 10. For a processor, you're going to need a quad-core AMD Ryzen 3 3300X or Intel Core i5 8400. Requires 8 gigs of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060, 3 gigabytes of virtual memory on that graphics card, DirectX version 12, and it requires 50 gigs of space. Additional notes, they do recommend that you throw it on a solid state drive. Now, this is something that ran just fine. I didn't have any tearing, no latency issues, nothing. I didn't have any loss of any textures, and I'm running with a GeForce GTX 1080. It's on a regular hard drive, and then I believe I have like 16 gigs of RAM and an AMD Ryzen 5. Um, so a little bit above the minimum, and it was perfectly fine, really smooth, uh, just gross to look at in again the best way. But overall, if this seems like something that you would be okay with spending 40 bucks on, I would highly recommend you do so because it is a unique experience. But you're also going to have to be like a lover of puzzle games or just creepy visuals, because other than that, there's not a ton of substance to be found. It seems like most of the work went into the visuals and audio design. Kind of feels more like an interactive art piece, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you. So, Danny Green, do you guys have any questions about my time with Scorn?
I the only question I really have is uh, like, is the price that it is on Steam worth like your playthrough so far? And like how does it have like an estimated time of like how long the game is?
Yeah,
Because that's
so
a big factor like when it comes to like payment, especially for a single player game, is like how many hours of gameplay you're actually getting per dollar.
right, yeah. So what I had found for time to beat, which I mean, like literally you could just Google that time to beat and enter your game title, and it'll give you a rough estimate. It'll also tell you how long it would be to beat it if you wanted to be a completionist. And time to beat is 5.5 hours. So that means that I am over 60% of the way through at 3 hours. Um, at $40, I'm fine with my purchase, but that's because I'm like, you know what? This is interesting. This is different from what a lot of games are doing. It definitely has the feeling that it's going to be like a playthrough once and like that's it. But like that's just it, is that I feel like a lot of games anymore, like there's such a wide variety. You have games as a service that are free and then you just pay money for aesthetics, cosmetics, whatever, so on and so forth. And then you have terrible 60, $70 AAA titles. So it's like, as far as quantifying how much a game is worth, to me, it's kind of hard to really put. personally, I'm okay with it because I got a unique and different experience. I just would have liked to see some of this gameplay probably cleaned up a bit. Just because like the FPS parts really do suck. Big dirty dong. Like to
Uh,
just kind of like shrug off all the formality here. Like
Yeah.
the FPS parts like are by far and wide the worst parts, and it just makes you wish you were doing puzzle the whole time. I don't know if either of you have ever played Riven or Myst, but it's like a harken back to those old puzzle games. And so like you get really immersed in the world. The puzzles are very much so like built of the environment that you find yourself in. Um, and it just kind of like it's like, hey, isn't this place really weird to go through and traverse? And so it's kind of one of those things. Is $40 enough for you, you know, or is it cheap enough for you to feel like, yeah, you know, this is enough uh to like kind of make up for the price as far as like what it looks like and what you do.
Yeah.
But
is
yeah,
this a kind of game that you could see them like including a DLC into? Like,
absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Like you mainly kind of like wake up in completely different areas through the game. One of the things that I did not like was a sort of like you have to go around, you find a tool that will augment your flesh so that you can interact with some puzzles. And after you get to like the end of what I would call like a chapter, right? You kind of wake up in a different place or like you're reborn in another place, and so you don't have that, and so you kind of do like a Metroid-esque gotta go find your power up thing again, gotta go find a weapon, so on and so forth. It does it completely different every time you do this, but it's also kind of like gives you the feel of like, okay, so now I just have to go and do the thing that I just did again so that I can interact with a different machine or thing. It would have been nice to see them maybe like just allow me to skip looking for something that I've already got and I already know how it works and stuff. Um but yeah, there definitely seems to be room to actually add on to it and also clean it up. Something that honestly would have been really great is I don't believe I missed it, but like a crouch and maybe like a quick sidestep.
Mm-hmm.
Like those two things would change the combat a lot. If there's an enemy around, bring my health and my ammo up so it's constantly like, you know, there so I can see it. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't take up a lot of room, you know, but it's like if I'm in danger, I would like to see the things that help me know like, you know, my resources to get out of danger.
Yeah. I haven't seen a roadmap, but just for some information here, the official release date for this game was October 14th of this year. The last update on record was today, so it looks like the dev is for sure paying attention to getting patches and stuff like that. So it might be getting tweaked and adjusted um, over the next couple months as things crop up as people play the game and stuff. I also did see here, according to SteamDB, that it has gone on sale for 10%. That the last sale on record was June 12th. For that would have brought it down to $35 or $36 really. Um, so just a little extra information there from.
Oh, also, and our good friend of the show, Otis, had mentioned that it was on Game Pass. I just double checked it. It is free on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, which is probably the best way to try out literally any game, new and old, you should go and check it out for free on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I would say
hashtag not
like
sponsored.
it's definitely something I would say, "Oh, dude, this is free. Go fucking check that out." It's completely different from anything that you've been playing lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing. Oh, there's no manual save, and it doesn't tell you when you hit a checkpoint either. So I kind of forgot about those. Yeah, there's no way to manually save, and you have no idea when you hit a checkpoint. So, like, is your dog pooping on the carpet? Do you need to run to go and do a thing? Too bad. Scorn. You've been scorned.
Yeah.
So
Stuck here
yeah.
forever.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, that's all I had. Danny, did you have anything that you'd like to add otherwise?
Nope.
Green, any further questions?
Or I think you answered them and explained the game very eloquently, like a champion.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, go play it if it's free. Go do the thing.
Do you guys want me to eloquently explain what Konami announced last week, and then Mendacii, you can eloquently explain what Capcom announced last week?
I would love to do
So
so.
eloquently, yes, indeed, yes.
Let's overuse that word. That's like really make people
Oh, the eloquence of the
all the
word eloquent.
Anyways,
It's really divine.
Toothpaste.
if any of these words start sounding funny to you, let us know. So Konami made some Silent Hill fans very happy last week with a whole suite of announcements. I'm going to do a quick run through, and then I'm going to let Mendacii kind of just give some of his thoughts on them, since I know he's a Silent Hill fan-ish.
Yes.
So we're getting a Silent Hill 2 remake, which is being done by Blooper Team, who did the critically acclaimed Layers of Fear. There's Silent Hill Townfall, which is going to be one of 2 new Silent Hill games. Is that how it's supposed to be pronounced?
Yeah. No, I just think that the name is really dumb. And I heard a joke earlier today. Is like you could imagine this game spread like being in like a GameStop like I can't Game Informer article that's just like a page ad, and then it's like, are you town to Silent Hill? Are you town?
So
Yeah.
yeah, Townfall, not Downfall. I was afraid there that I had like a typo and didn't notice it. But Townfall, which is going to be one of the 2 new games that's being published by
Say it one more time,
Annapurna.
please.
Townfall.
Not to be
Emphasis
mixed
on
up
the
with not to be mixed up with Silent Hill Downpour.
Down. Village Up. Silent Hill Village Up. Anyways, that's like I said, Annapurna Interactive and No Code. Silent Hill F, as in fuck, is the second new game, which is going to be a prequel. I think it takes place in
Yeah,
the
it takes
1960s.
place in the yeah in Japan, no less.
Yes. And then Silent Hill Ascension, which has both J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Production Company and Dead by Daylight developers' Behavior involved, and that's being branded as some sort of quote interactive live stream, but that's pretty much all we know about it.
Would you like to know more right now?
Sure.
It is it will be aired once.
Mm-hmm.
It is I believe mini series event in which so I'm assuming it's going to be like on Twitch or like on some other streaming service, but you're going to be hanging out in your living room like in a chat, and you will straight up have like an America's Got Talent style like vote now to see what happens, and then a thing will happen. So it's kind of like playing the Dark Pictures anthology with whoever is a part of that stream. It will air again once. So it is not a game. It is a broadcast exclusive.
Where'd you say it's getting broadcast on?
Sounds terrible.
It has not been announced yet. And yes, Green, it does. Like I said, it will be aired once. It is an interactive broadcast, and that is what we know so far. So it's kind of like I said, like if any of you have ever heard of the Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope, Man of Medan, something Ashes, whatever, and you can play with like I think it's like 5 friends total, and each of you can, handle a character, so on and so forth, and you get to make decisions that'll fuck up other people, so on and so forth. But everyone will vote in, and that's the next thing that'll happen. Yeah.
I wonder, like, You know how funny it would be if ABC picks this up and has it on, like, prime television at, like, 7 o'clock on a fucking like, a Wednesday, right? And,
Right.
like, all the old
Yeah.
people are like, "What the fuck is this? What's going on?"
Who's
And
this
then
man
they
covered in blood doing a big nippy
"Why
twist?
why does he have a big pyramid metal thing on his head? I don't understand." And then just starts randomly voting for random shit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for one thing, there's two things that are going to be a major issue here before we move on. One is you already know the most chaotic, nonsensical thing that could be voted on and could happen in this will be the thing that is happening. Uh, because, the internet is crazy. And two, people are going to be pissed with how it turns out, or like they're either going to be like, wow, that was really fucking stupid, or they're just going to be mad. And they're immediately going to be like, give us the Snyder cut and show us all the other options that we could have had. So yeah, like it's built to fail. I am curious to see if it will come out. And I don't know really like if you guys like watched the Konami showcase, but when they said like JJ Abrams is a part of it, they literally showed off to the side. They're like, and here's what he has to say. And it was just a picture of basically a tweet that's like, I love Silent Hill. I am excited to be working on Silent Hill, signed JJ Abrams. And they're like, and moving on. It
Wow.
was the most, dude, the whole showcase was batshit. I'll shine a light on it as we kind of continue though.
Yeah. Well, I think that was all the announcements, right?
Let's see here. The Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yep.
Then you had Townfall, you had Ascension, you had the whole reason for this showcase. Okay? The whole reason why all of these things are happening right now, which they actually specifically say in the showcase, is because the original director and producer of the Silent Hill movie that came out, I think in 2009. I'm sure that someone in chat or in the comments on YouTube will correct me, but I just don't feel like looking at it right now. Anyway, that original director and producer that made that movie have had reached out to Konami and said, "Hey, I really want to make another Silent Hill movie that doesn't suck like the other ones that came out." And they're like, "Yes, please. Oh my god, pretty please." And they're like, "Okay." And so all of these games exist to drum up sales and hype for the movie. Keep in mind, like Konami hasn't really been a video game focused company for some time. They have been mainly focused in other media, such as pachinko machines or milking a dead cow. So yeah, it's all because we are going to get within the next year or so Silent Hill, or sorry, Return to Silent Hill, which is the director's vision of Resident Evil. Not yet. Silent Hill 2. So alongside the video games, the movie announcement, and then probably like the best part of the showcase was a whole bunch of really cool ass merchandise. So like there were statues, there were like skateboards and shit, which is actually a reference to like a meme from Silent Hill 2. There is the Shiba Inu from the secret ending in Silent Hill 2 that is controlling all the terrible things going on in Silent Hill. You can get that as a statue, and it's also a coin bank, which I absolutely need because I too have a Shiba and believe that he controls most of my life. In short, though, the showcase was pretty lukewarm as far as its reception to fans. And apparently it was fraught with like a whole bunch of really weird technical shit.
Hmm.
All of the English that was pre-written was changed on the spot by the people that were doing the showcase that were like native English speakers because they didn't. Thank you, Green, for saying it came out in 2006. I knew I was close. But yeah, all of the English that was pre-written by people at Konami for this showcase was changed on the spot by people who were bilingual. And that is why, like, if you go and watch it and listen to it, it's very alien in how it sounds. It's very, very strange. But they did their best, and it was basically improv most of the time. Um, the last thing is that when we did see the Silent Hill 2 remake gameplay, quote unquote, we saw maybe about 5 to 6 actual seconds of Silent Hill 2 remake. gameplay, they actually spliced in a bunch of gameplay and cutscenes from the Silent Hill HD collection, which a lot of people caught, as well as the original gameplay, or not gameplay, but cutscenes. So it was really, really weird. There wasn't a lot to be shown. People are kind of stipulating that um, Bloober Team probably doesn't have a whole lot on this so far. Um, and a lot of people aren't too sure where it's going to go because Bloober Team also uh, kind of made a giant goof with their game, The Medium, because of how it portrayed mental health in their game, which was pretty terrible. And Silent Hill 2, the Silent Hill series in general, is a big story about mental health. So it's going to be rocky as hell.
Yeah. So Capcom.
Yeah, so if you're not tired of hearing me talk yet,
How's your
so
throat
the
doing,
the
bud?
cap
Baby, I
pretty
could
pretty
listen to you
pretty good.
all damn day.
Ooh, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Sweet,
happy to
sweet
say,
nothings into my ear. Please continue.
hello, yeah, I'm here to bring you Capcom news. The Capcom showcase was actually a lot better, I'm happy to say. The cheesy Resident Evil 8 style of like showing the event was pretty interesting as you wander around in first person view in a mansion somewhere out in Resident Evil 8's village as the Duke kind of narrates things at you. So if you're familiar with the series, then it likely didn't rub you the wrong way. That being said, this was definitely a treat. All in all, we got to see some interesting information and gameplay from the Winter's DLC for Resident Evil 8, set to release on the 28th. A look at the third person mode that was announced back in June. Some stuff about Mercenaries mode, which will not be in third person. People are wondering if it's because they don't want you to be able to like just be Lady D and stand in a corner and look at yourself. So that's kind of fun to think about. Um, some gameplay of the new content coming to RE-verse or Reverse, which a lot of people were on the fence because I mean, like, it's been really quiet in its development. People didn't think it was going to come out, but they actually say, "Hey, man, no, this is coming out real soon." Um, it looks fine. A lot of people are saying like it looked fine. I think that there is some part of RE-verse that's available now. I'm not sure. I wasn't too interested in it, so I didn't really keep my nose to the ground as far as that goes. Then there's more news of the other Resident Evil games, like all the remakes and previous titles coming to Nintendo Switch streaming and Mac throughout the rest of the year. So, if you've been missing out on like older Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, RE6, RE7, those are coming to those and they should play okay, I think. I don't know. I've never used Nintendo Switch streaming. So then there was the bombshell, which I called last week. It was not really a hard call to make, but I'm still going to take the dub on it. Resident Evil 4 got its gameplay trailer. Lots of things could be gleaned from this. It looks like enemies and characters got some really hefty redesigns, but not necessarily for the worse. The areas and settings have undergone major updates and appear somewhat reworked and redesigned. There will definitely be new mechanics. Namely, it looks like there's some more combat maneuvers or moves, and our knife has a durability meter. However, it also can be upgraded. So you can like there's a whole upgrading system, kind of like there was previously in Resident Evil 4, but now the knife is a part of that. So you can make it so like you can repair your knife, you can increase its durability, you can make it even stronger, which is insane because we actually see Leon um guarding against a chainsaw wielding maniac with his knife. He's like fucking parrying pitchforks and stabbing people in the head. He's like jumping down on the ground and stabbing people in the neck with it. It looks dope as hell. Keep in mind that Resident Evil 4 was always an action game with like horror elements. It seems like they doubled down on that. I also found out that as far as the Resident Evil teams go, they were really displeased with how the Resident Evil 3 remake was handled. The Resident Evil 3 remake had a decent chunk, estimation around 30% of the game was cut. And there were some other kind of odd uh, kind of developmental choices that they went with. Because of this, the overall branch of Capcom that is overseeing these Resident Evil remakes were like, no, you don't get to touch this. And they gave it back to the Resident Evil 2 fellas. So the same treatment that we saw Resident Evil 2 get, we can kind of assume we're going to get that with Resident Evil 4. So that should definitely be pretty awesome. Overall, the game looks gross, it looks gorgeous, and people are overall optimistic. It comes out March 24th of next year on PS4, PS5, Xbox X and S, and PC. And I'm definitely getting my hands on it. It looks awesome. Very excited.
Hell yeah. There's nothing else I can say.
Yeah,
I feel like
Capcom has. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I feel like everyone has played Resident Evil 4 at some point. I feel like just about everyone could get excited about Resident Evil 4. And like my good friend Brent said in our chat, it's apparently been in development for 3 years, but it says a majority of 2. But yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is like Capcom hasn't tickled my fancy for a long time, and the only thing that like has like could really pique my interest is like Resident Evil 4, just because of the nostalgia factor. Like that was the first and like essentially only Resident Evil game I've actually played. Like I've seen other people play the Resident Evil games, but like Resident Evil 4 was like the only one I actually touched.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's a lot for everybody because it doesn't play like the other ones. You know, it's an action game and it feels damn good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see it. And of course, like I'm a bit of a Capcom simp, you know, with Street Fighter and Monster Hunter and everything else. So I'm a mark for this.
Yeah, you are. Since you're marked, we want to talk about some marked down prices and some deals our friends can snag. I'm sorry.
Our weekly
yeah,
picks, you would say?
Our weekly
Yeah,
picks. Yeah,
that was
awful.
that was pretty good, Danny. That was
was-
pretty good.
You're doing great, champ.
Don't patronize me. Anyways, so before we get into it, we're making some changes. I hope you choke on it, Mendacii. For audio
did,
only
though.
I never
listeners.
joke. I always swallow.
For our audio only friends out there, Mendacii just about died on some water. Anyways, we are making a change to how we do like deals of the month. We kind of realized that doing it once a month kind of sucks. That we're just saying names to you guys over and over again. And we're not really talking about anything that might be worth picking up. And so we're going to each pick out one deal a week at the end of the show. If you guys stick around to the end of the show, then you can hear about some deals that we think are worth picking up this week. So I'm going to start out. Humble Bundle, which we are affiliates of, so take this with a grain of salt, is doing their Halloween sale. So right now you can pick up the Metro Redux bundle. Metro Redux bundle. You get both 2033 and Last Light for under $7, which is a fantastic deal because those games, not only are they great and they run on a lot of machines, but I think they're anywhere between 5 to 7 hours, 8 hours of gameplay. So you're looking at up to 14, 16 hours of gameplay that is pretty replayable for $7 and just in time for Halloween too. Fantastic pickup. Green, do you have a deal that people should be picking up this week?
I do. Phasmophobia. I hate horror games and I hate Phasmophobia. But yeah, I play it every once in a blue moon. It's 20% off on Steam right now. Which again, this is all Halloween themed because Halloween is upon us. You're closing in on not. I don't even celebrate Halloween anymore. It's Danny Kaye's birthday, which is scary because he's getting older and older.
Fuck off.
So yeah, it's currently on Steam for $11.19, Which I personally think, with as many times as they update it, they're constantly like working on it. It's still technically an early access game. Then it's definitely worth scooping up for $11.19 as long as you and your friends pick it up. Um, and you're not an absolute wimp like me with horror games. It's a good pickup, and then this sale is going until November 1st. So
Nice. Mendacii, how about you? Got a pick for these kind of folks out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite horror games. It's a third person shooter with a whole bunch of cool powers that you get along the way. It is Control, but it is the Ultimate Edition, and it is only $11.99. So that means you get the whole base game, which is about 18 and a half hours of gameplay, plus an additional, I believe it's like 16 16 to 18 more hours of DLC alongside it, so you get to play all of the stuff that came after the game actually finishes. So yeah, it's fantastic, and if you're at all interested for the next Alan Wake game coming out, surprise, it's in the same universe and it will tell you literally everything you need to know going into it. What a cerebral and super duper good time. Very, very fun. You should go check that out for 11.99.
Hell yeah. Anything else?
Now,
not
Sa.
for me.
All right. Well, guys, that was the whole show. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Your time with us is always appreciated. If you've made it this far, be sure to drop us a like and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, let us know what you think about any of the things that we talked about today in the comments. And if you if you miss any part of the show, want to take us on the go, find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere podcasts are found. If you want to join us live, you can do that every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on twitch.tv/next to nothing network. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, Green Elite, hit him with that Twitter.
At next to nothing PC.
Hell yeah. And you can tweet at us. Tell us why you think we're wrong about the things we talked about today. Green Elite will fight you on Twitter. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I will. I don't tempt me. I will argue with anyone over anything, even the most simplest of things. The sun sets in the east and rises in the west. Fight me. I don't care.
Yeah. So
The earth is flat, kind of. It's like an oval.
Don't
It's an
stop
oval
it.
but flat.
I think the Earth is shaped like a deflated basketball. Weird.
It's cylindrical. It's not spherical.
Anyways, until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, have a wonderful and safe Halloween. Keep fighting the good fights, and we'll talk to you again next week. Goodbye.
Love you.